latest episode of the Corporate Escapists TV show and podcast. I am your host, Christina. Can I just say, I am like friggin' excited to have you on the show. Like, I've been like going all day and I'm like, oh my God, I've got Caroline this afternoon. Like, let's do this because, first of all, I've been following you for a while. You are the most truly inspirational person. So I'm excited when that happens. Everyone who followed me know I get super carried away. So I'm just going to pause for a moment. I'm going to let you introduce yourself to our audience, and then I think we're just going to have the most epic conversation.
Excellent. And I'm so excited to be here too, Christine. Likewise, been following you for a long time. So I'm Caroline Bellenger, life success coach, wellness warrior, inspirational speaker, and doer of all things. I am really passionate about empowering women to be enough, to believe in themselves, and to just chase all those dreams that they really always wanted, especially as a little girl, and not be scared to go after things that bring them joy and happiness and success.
Yeah. Now, first of all, how many years are you celebrating being sober?
So I've just recently celebrated 15 years sober, which is,
Like,
yeah,
yay! I think it's
lit-
amazing.
yeah, look, it's like everything. I think now I've learned to stop and celebrate and really do the wow, and give myself a little bit of a pat on the back and everything like that. And my cat would like to celebrate too, as we all know. So for me, though, this time was actually different. 15 years was really different in that this time it's actually not so much about the alcohol anymore. I think I got through that a few years ago. This year, it's been about my own self-worth and letting go of anything and everything that just doesn't serve me, and doing it with confidence to just say goodbye, farewell. I don't need that in my life.
Yeah. And it's such a hard thing, isn't it? Like, it's so easy to say. It's so easy for us to go, oh, just let it go. But there's always that little girl or that person, that young child inside of us that still needs that reassurance or needs that, soothing of us, that we still need to heal something in our life.
Oh, definitely. And I think, I'm quite outspoken and headstrong, but I also wear my heart on my sleeve. So I'm very passionate, and very emotional. I'm a very emotional person. And I think what I have learned is too that that's okay. I think I went through a long period of time where I thought if I'm just strong and stoic,
Yes.
that's success. But what I've learned to embrace is being passionate and me and emotional and having a good cry and getting it out of my system and then just brushing it off and moving on.
Yes.
But allowing myself to be emotional and not
Yeah.
seeing it as a weakness.
Oh, I love that so much because I was literally having this conversation yesterday, and it was a pact that my emotions actually fuel my manifestations. And if I don't feel all the feelings, I'm actually stopping everything coming into my life.
Yes, yes. And same. I shared on my Insta story just 2 days ago, I think. And I've been doing a lot of work in that space as well, in that keeping in that feel good stage, like not worrying, but as humans, and especially, with my story and everything, like coming from trauma and people who've come from a traumatic background or experience, it's easy to click into the negatives.
Yes.
It's easy to think the worst case scenario. It's easy to ruminate in that negative. So understanding when I feel that doesn't serve me, and trying to change my state back into, well, what makes me feel good? What can I do right now that makes me feel good? And it doesn't have to be anything big. It might just be walking outside. It might be just sitting on the couch or doing a meditation or patting my cat or anything, or just having those feelings of, I usually go back to, for everything, especially when I'm challenged, I'll always try and bring it back to what am I grateful for?
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
I think anyone's life. I mean, you've got a very powerful story, and I think, a lot of people don't understand the power of our own stories
No.
and the impact not only it has on self, but also the impact it has on other people. But then using the emotions to be able to help us heal, but also help us move forward in life.
Yeah, definitely. And it took me, I think, because I did a lot of work once I got sober, more so, I did a lot of work on myself, and obviously a lot of my limiting beliefs and, unhealthy mindset and unhealthy behaviors all came from my childhood sexual abuse. And then, coupled with the addiction and unhealthy relationships and situations that I created through that 20-year journey. So I started working on all that and healing from within. However, I also then got to a stage where I don't think I emotionally acknowledged what I'd been through. So I knew that because when I spoke about it, I could speak about it really easily, and I do, which has been great, but I wasn't connecting because I'd actually put up a barrier to my experience. And what I've learned now when I share my story is to be able to say, yeah, it was really tough. It was a really difficult time. It really impacted me. And, I'm grateful now that I can speak about it, but I never want to diminish or minimize that experience because I felt like I was almost having the opposite effect of what I wanted to do by
Yes.
being so okay with it.
Yeah.
I was actually minimizing not just my experience, but the experience of others who might not quite be at the level I'm at with processing it.
That is so powerful because, like, first of all, acknowledging the pain, acknowledging the experience takes so much because sometimes we don't want to go back there. But then we need to go back sometimes to heal it.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's why it's talking about why this 15 years sober meant so much more because I feel much more connected to what I have been through and much more able to acknowledge the power in that and the resilience I've got and understand that because of all that, I am really rock solid now on who I am and my value in the world and my worth and what I bring.
Yes.
Which has just made it so much easier to let go of all those other things because I really, and I swear a bit, just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I literally
totally get
go,
it. Yes.
I am so me and I'm
Yes.
really proud of me and I like who I am. I'm not perfect and I make mistakes all the time and I'm okay with that, but I'm self-aware and I'm passionate and I just want to continue being me as well and being okay with that. Being that, as I say, you are enough. I go, I've embraced that feeling for myself. I am enough.
Yes. Yes. And I think that there's also there's two parts to it. And I'm trying to sort of articulate this the right way, that when you get to the state where you're at and it's really like the care factor is zero, with it, it's because you've shown up and you've done the work. Whereas there's other people who can say it, but then you also get that essence that they still are that work in progress, which is totally okay. But when someone like yourself fully embodies it, fully shows up with it, it's almost like this ease and grace that you come with it. But we know that there's not been an ease and grace with it.
No. And
I
I
hope
think
that makes sense because
I and that's how I feel. And that is because
yes.
it's been hard for me to even in my own words explain
Yes.
the difference. And I think that's it because I could show up and put on the stoic face and go like, I'm okay. And, you know, I am Teflon was my word of 2020. I am Teflon. But deep down, I don't think I believed it fully.
Yeah.
Whereas this year, and like I said, you know, from COVID to now, I've been through some incredibly crazy, challenging, difficult situations, which I'm totally all okay with. And I genuinely go and I really believe in my power and my strength.
Yes. Yep. What has that, and I know that's not just one thing that happens to us to be able to get to that point, but you talk a lot about mindset.
Mm.
Do you believe that that has been the biggest or the most contributing factor to be able to help you get to there?
Oh, absolutely. And on so many different levels. And that's where I go, like, because we talk about mindset, but I feel like there's so many different aspects of mindset as well. And I think my original journey, you know, when I first started, mindset has one of the first things I learned was around gratitude. So that's been a constant. You know, from where I think the first couple of years of being sober, I used to write down 3 gratitudes every day, to then just saying them to myself, to now, honestly, I just walk through life, stopping every 5 minutes going, oh my God, look at that. Oh my God, I'm so lucky. Oh my God, that's so amazing. Like being
Yeah.
grateful as a way of living, I suppose you would say. Then for me, the next step was the mind-body connection. And when I started, you know, running and doing more physical connection, so that, and that was around because I needed that for my mental health. Because when I get, you know, I still suffer anxiety and depression and just everyday crankiness. Um, you know, but I've learned that if I go and do some exercise, especially for me, it's specifically a run, I literally change my state of mind within a few kilometers. So the person who starts a run is uptight and cranky and the mind's going crazy. And a few kilometers down the track, and when I finish, I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So that, and then now, I suppose, since then, I'm probably the last stage that I've been going through more recently is around more the meditation, the manifestations, the acceptance, and the letting go.
Mm. The word surrender has been the hardest thing for me because I am a control freak. Like, and I will openly admit that. You
Oh,
know,
yeah,
I'm a people pleaser, I'm a perfectionist, like everything. But when you talk, you know, and I know like anyone who's gone down the spirituality sort of route or whatever, and they talk about the word surrender, it is a hard word to digest.
yeah. I totally get it. I'm a D in the disc profile. I'm an Aries, and I'm like, just the only way to solve things is take action.
Yes.
So that's been my, like, you know, way I've operated through the world. And it serves me well for the most part.
Yes.
But what I've realized, it serves me well for the most part, unless there's a challenge.
Yes.
And yes, it gives me resilience. But what I'm learning is the letting go solves my problems quicker.
Yes. Yes. I
with,
totally
with,
get it.
yeah, with less drama.
I hear you on that. It's almost like I wish I had learnt these lessons so
Yeah,
much earlier in life, but that's okay.
yeah, because, like, you know, with my action headstrong attitude, yes, I would get to what I
Yeah.
needed,
Yes.
but it was a much harder journey to get
Yes.
there than just
Yeah.
going, okay, this isn't serving me. I want this isn't serving me. I'm going to let go of that, keep focusing
Mm.
on what I really love, and then getting to that same point or somewhere better.
Yeah.
And often what I'm finding is there's something actually better than the goal I was striving for.
Yes. Yes. I remember watching an episode. I can't remember who it is. I have a feeling it was Oprah, and they're like going, you can dream big, but also too, you need to allow for a change in that dream because it's maybe even better than what you ever thought it would be.
Yes. Yeah. And I think, like I said, it's a fine line, because at the same time, like, I'm not going to just, I'd love to be able to just sit there and go, meditate, everything's going to come for me, and just, do nothing. But it still requires a certain amount of action taking. And, as you know, running a business, as a solo entrepreneur, there's a lot of work that goes in behind the
Absolutely.
scenes, and commitment, and all of that. So
Yes.
definitely a lot of action taking steps,
Yes.
but I feel doing them in an alignment with joy is what gets you to the outcome quicker.
I might have to steal that because I always say to people, dream big, but take the aligned action. But the aligned action is doing it with joy
Yes.
because you've got to have fun in life.
Oh, that's one of my biggest pillars. And I always say to people, it's really important to understand what your values are.
Mm,
Because if you don't know what your values are, you will be constantly chasing things that are misaligned, and then wondering why that you're not achieving them.
yes. Yes.
And often it's because we think we think we need to reach that goal because society tells us, our family tells us, everyone tells us, that's what we should have the multi-million-dollar business, or we should have the white picket fence, or the 3 kids, or the 10 cats, or whatever it is. So we go after those things because the pressure is on to do that, and we don't really understand ourselves. But once we know what our values are, and we align ourselves with that, and a big example of that is for entrepreneurs. A classic is, most entrepreneurs will tell you their values are freedom and money. And the first things they lose at the start of their entrepreneurial journey are freedom and money. And therefore, subconsciously, they will find every way possible to not be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And they don't even realize they're doing it.
Yes. Yeah. That, oh my goodness, that is like, I wish somebody told me that at the start of my
Yes.
journey, because you seek something and when you don't get it, it's almost like, well, you can either just walk away or you continue to push through, but you don't know why you're pushing through.
No. And that's what I love. Like, when I've done, throughout my addiction and with my childhood sexual abuse, I've done psychology, psychiatry, medication therapist, drug and alcohol therapist, rehab. I've done the whole gambit of therapies, and I needed them, and that's why I say to people, I needed them for the place I was at the time, but I always felt like there was something missing.
Yeah.
And then when I studied to do my coaching and I did NLP and hypnosis, I went, it's the future focused stuff that I'm missing. And being, yes, you go back to the past to process and understand, but once you've got that, then really the focus should be now. And what's happening now? What behaviors are you still carrying from back then? It's not, it doesn't matter where it came from. What am I doing? And one of my big ones was my money mindset. My uncle who abused me used to give me money and gifts. So I saw money as evil. I then, just to, and when we have beliefs, we then start attracting situations, circumstances that fully support that belief. So then I lived in Thailand, for 18 months, where everyone was poor and happy. And I went straight from there to Silicon Valley in the middle of the IT boom in 2000, where everyone I met was absolutely loaded rich and unhappy. And those two experiences together went, that's it. Money doesn't give you happiness. It's evil, when I became an entrepreneur, now there's a challenge. When you don't like money and you're trying to start a business and run a business, you know, my first few years, I was having great impact, but I made no money. I struggled to be successful financially. And that's when I started doing all the values work and understanding that money and wealth weren't in my top 5 values.
Yeah.
What was kindness, joy, love, family, honesty, trust, health. When I started focusing on those things, then the money started coming, the success started coming. Yeah. And it was like, yes, I had to do a lot of basic mindset work around my money beliefs and understanding that I need money to have impact and obligation. So for me, money is the vehicle for me to do the things I love.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's almost like you've like lived my life, especially when it comes to the money stuff, because I think a lot of us, you know, we go into business and yes, we feel like the byproduct is going to be the financial freedom. However, there's always going to be, I shouldn't say always, I would say a majority of people who start a business, the money mindset is the key to unlocking the freedom and the financial wealth that you want to have.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And understanding how that aligns with you as well. So, and that's where I go, like, know thyself. The more, you know, the good and the bad, like, you know, I'm pretty open with, like, you know, my weaknesses and things like that. I can be very reactive and emotional at the wrong time. And sometimes I've got to, like, you know, go like careful that I don't say what's in my head. And sometimes I just do it and then go, oh, probably not a great idea. That probably didn't work out well. But at the same time, I don't overly beat myself up about anything as well, you know. Like, so I say, like, it's great. It's so freeing to acknowledge what we're not good at.
Yeah, exactly.
and understand that there's certain things that we just, you know, need work at, or, you know, I still have a reasonably addictive nature. So I have to be, like, really careful with, like, being a bit OCD or being and focusing like this. But I acknowledge that and I go, okay, we'll just roll with it. That's part of who you are, and try and find healthier ways of exhibiting those same behaviors. Yeah.
When I think of you, the word that comes up is resilience. And this word has been a bugbear to me because I truly believe that everyone is resilient. But everyone's like, oh, you bounce back. But now I discovered that resilience is you bouncing forward.
Yes.
How do you, you know, like the essence for you, like for me to you is you're the most resilient person, you know, with all the moments, and I call these moments in life because nothing is ever infinite. You know, some things last a day, some things last years, you know, all that sort of stuff. But the moments in life, how do you feel with the word resilient? If you know, for me to describe that for you.
And I do, and it's like everything. They become, like, I'm a bit, they become catchphrases too, you know, and sometimes if we're in specific industries, it becomes a really popular word, and then it gets overused for everything. You know, and I used to say, I in one of my workshops, I talk about resilience, and I go, like, to be fair, you know, resilience generally comes from dealing with really shitty, crappy situations and getting through them. So, I mean, if you can go through life without having to do that and build resilience, you know, good luck. Like, that's a good thing. Like, having resilience can be taught, and there's other ways to do it rather than go through those things. I think one of the interesting things for me about resilience is, yes, my earlier story, like I said, the childhood sexual abuse, the addiction, and all the other things that went with that. But then also, I had my brother pass away when he was 45. Deaths of other family and friends. Bullying, I've had several really intense bullying with the workplace situations. They've all been really horrible situations, but through time, then I had COVID and a gym. Put those two words together and you can all imagine, on the border. But what I realize, and where my resilience actually comes from now, is I'm so positive and grateful for everything that happens, that now when I do have a challenging situation, I obviously express my emotions to begin with. I call it my 7 steps of grief in 24 hours. And I'll go through the anger, the pain, the hurt, all of that, to the acceptance. But I'll just do it quickly nowadays.
Yes.
But I also, when it gets to that stage, I actually feel joy.
Yeah.
Because I go, oh my God, whenever there's been a challenge in my life, something really amazingly good comes from it.
Yes.
So now when I'm hit with something challenging, my first reaction isn't necessarily to become stressed and overwhelmed and upset. It's almost like, oh, wow, how good is this? And I think that's why I can remain reasonably positive throughout those moments, which, it looks like resilience and it is resilience, but I actually think it's more just changing my state.
Yes.
To seeing a positive in a negative.
Yeah.
Or not viewing it necessarily as a negative.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that point of view, because I think so many people, we get stuck in the moment,
Yes.
and it's almost like it then will consume us, whereas then we can't actually look outside to see, well, potentially, I mean, I always a big believer that the universe is going to send us in different directions.
Yep.
But if you're still stuck in that moment, you're not going to be able to see the goodness that potentially could come from it, or the shift in direction that your life is going to change for so many amazing more reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, and I think that's the point. And I think I'm incredibly grateful that I got sober, can't drink. I look at drinking as, people often say to me, could you have one? And I go, I don't tend to do anything by half, so maybe not. But also I go, for me, I've put it in the category of having a drink is like a death sentence.
Yeah.
So, but I'm really lucky that I feel that way about drinking, because that then stops me going to that. And I also know I can spiral really quickly. Even like I said, if something does go wrong, I can go blah, rah, pretty quick. So therefore, again, looking at the situation and going, oh my God, I'm grateful I don't drink. I'm grateful that this is happening right now and I have the tools to do this. And like I said, in worst case scenario, I go for a run or do some exercise and I know that feeling will go away, because you're correct. What you said, it's actually just a moment.
Yeah.
It's not a life sentence. It's just a moment in time. And, as you'd say in, AA and places like that, it too shall pass.
Yeah. Yeah. I really feel is that the moments that you've gone through, you're now able to have such pure empathy for people
Yeah.
when you're coaching them, to let them know that, like, with what they're going through, it may not be similar, but you have had those experiences that you can truly empathize, you can truly support them and coach them. along the way.
Yeah, and I think it's really important because it's okay to not be okay. And
Yeah.
again, like, and I'll share if I'm having bad days, I'll openly share that, whether it's with clients or on social media, because I think we went through a little stage there for a few years, where everything was a little bit positive in that, and I call it, and we talk about it now as like toxic positivity, in that, you just do your affirmations every day when you feel bad, and, stay positive all the time. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's okay to
Yeah.
yell and scream and eat your chocolate and grab a box of tissues and fetal position on the couch for a few hours. That's all, that's part of the process.
Yes.
And if you just push all that down, you're going to stay stuck in that for a lot longer. So get all those feelings out, vent, scream, and then take a deep breath and go, okay, now what can I do to move forward?
Yes.
But don't ever deny or minimize the challenge you're having. And, and I like to say, like, a challenge for me, because I have dealt with quite a bit, small things, what other people might find challenging, I probably
Yeah.
see as a walk in the park. However, I fully acknowledge that for them, that issue is massive,
Yes.
and they need to be able to process that in their perspective and where they sit and within their capacity.
Yes.
And not, and I was going to say, I'm so not judgmental, but it doesn't really matter what I think. It matters what they think about them. And that's what I've learned. At the end of the day, the only opinion that really matters is our opinion of ourselves.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
where the freedom is.
Oh, so much so. Absolutely. I totally agree with everything that you've said. When you obviously, started your own journey, if you could go back and even just give yourself a small piece of advice, what would that have been?
Well, there's so many things. However, I'm going to repeat, because my son and I have just gone into business together.
Yes,
And
I'm so excited.
my comment to him just yesterday was, I am loving this, and my gift to you is I am going to save you 20 years of pain and suffering working for other people.
Mm,
In the context of, there's so many opportunities out there now, I realize.
yes.
And, I'm always, like I said, I give 110%, and I've given 110% to workplaces and other things. I'm not saying all of my workplaces were terrible, but I had some bad experiences. But even the ones that were good,
Mm,
literally I was contributing to their success in the bigger picture.
yeah.
And for most workplaces, and it sounds awful, but you're just a cog in the wheel.
Yeah.
Like, you really are.
Yeah.
And that's just a reality. And that's okay. And again, I'm okay with that. Like, it's not a
Yeah.
negative. It's just I think a truth that, but when you're doing stuff for yourself in a business, can it be more challenging? Yes. Can it, take up all your time? Yes. But it's your responsibility. You own the success and the failures.
Mm,
And I love that. I
yes.
love being able to say, this is all happening because of me. Because that's so empowering. Like I
Yeah.
said, even when that's a challenge and it's like, or, like, failures are just a stepping stone forward. Um, it's still just me doing
Yeah.
this.
Yes. Yes.
And you can't blame anyone else. And there's, again, I go, the day I stopped playing victim and started taking self-responsibility, again, was another moment I went, wow, it's actually so much easier. life is so much
Mm,
easier.
yeah. Because I think when we are in the victim mode, in regardless whether it's life or business, you
Mm,
end up making stories, and it's actually very hard to keep up with those stories.
yes. Yes. And you can't change anything when it's someone else's fault.
Mm,
It's just
no.
like, it's like, well, I made the choice. Again, I just recently broke up from a relationship, and I was okay breaking up because I went, well, and I wasn't negative or bitter about it. I mean, I have my moments, don't get me wrong, but I was like, at the end of the day, I chose to be with the person. I
Mm,
chose to stay, and I chose to end it.
yes.
All my choices. So what's there to whinge about or complain about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 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 I think um when we truly step into our own power and we own it all, and this is the biggest thing I say to people, you need to own your story, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. Because
Yes.
when you own it, you take control back. You're not allowing other people's thoughts, decisions, um
No.
everything around it. It's then your own pathway for your life.
Yes. Oh, yeah, totally. And I think, yeah, I wish, I'd love for all this sort of stuff to be taught to kids at school, like in
Mm,
that empowerment. I think we're getting better in that,
yes.
but what true empowerment is,
Yes.
and that whole taking responsibility is part of that. But in saying that, you know, as a school system, as parents, we also have to allow, children to do the wrong thing and not get too cranky when it happens,
Yes.
because that's what stops people owning up to their responsibilities as well. If the reaction from someone else is going to be like crazy, you're not going to tell them
No.
and you're going to deny it, or you're going to blame someone else.
Yes. Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
And that's why, like, even with my clients or people, I do some wellness workshops, and I'm like, I'm not here to judge you. Like, I've probably done 10 times worse. And if I haven't, it's still your story, your life. Who am I to make any judgment about how anyone lives their life?
Yes.
You know, because
Yeah.
even if it's something horrible,
Yeah.
I might sometimes that I will pull a judgment here and there. But at the same time, that person, no matter how bad it is what they do, they're the person that has to live with the consequence of that.
Yes, that's right. And it's the same in business.
Yeah,
Whatever action or inaction you take, the
yeah,
consequence is going to be there.
yeah,
So, yeah, if you want more money in your bank account, here's the action that you take. If you're happy with where you are, take the inaction. That's okay.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Oh,
the thing is, like with that, and like I said, my judgment probably comes more around when people are unkind or not
yes.
nice and things like that. But instead of fighting against that now, I like to quarantine them. So
Mm,
if I have to work with them,
yes.
I will just do what I need to do in a professional way.
Yeah.
Well, I can be a bit of a child sometimes, so sometimes I'm not too professional. Uh, or I will just like avoid them. If
Yeah.
I can, if I can avoid negative energy, I'll like for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think my bullshit factor has and
Yes.
radar has actually gotten less,
Mm.
especially as I've done the work.
Yes.
It's almost like going, you know what, like I've done the work. Unless you're prepared to do the work, then that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like, again, as a Aries, I used to always have to prove a point or prove I was right. And I don't feel the need to do that anymore, because I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I can completely disagree with you, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you, I'll do me. Let's just
Yeah.
stay there.
Yeah.
All good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you know how much I adore you. You know how much like I really think that, with everything that you've have experienced and now been able to transform, I think you're an incredible coach, and mentor, and a true inspiration, even for me. Just knowing with everything that you've gone through, and I just sit there and I'm going, well, if you can do it, like I can keep going, I can,
Yeah.
can go through it. So I just want to say thank you from me, like being such a true inspiration, especially in my own personal journey, but also in my business journey as well. So thank you so much for showing up and letting us know what is possible.
Thank you, Christina. It's been a pleasure. And same, I just, if anyone's listening to this, my takeaway is, yeah, surround yourself with the right people, but most of all, just never stop believing in yourself.
Yeah.
Know that you're a good person, know that you're enough,
Yes.
and know that you can, live the life that you want to live, and whatever that is for you. Don't get swayed by other people's opinions.
So much so. We're going to drop all the details of how people can reach out to you below. But before we go, we ask 5 questions just so people, it's a little bit of fun
Okay.
with it, so people can get to know you. In the morning, are you a tea or a coffee drinker?
Oh, coffee. I can't, probably don't even talk to me till I've had coffee.
Same with you. That's why we're so similar. Like the dog even looks at me and he's like, oh,
Yeah.
she's like, oh, mum hasn't had a coffee.
Yeah.
Don't even ask.
Yeah, don't, yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
If you had some spare time, would you prefer to curl up and watch a movie or read a book?
Probably these days, probably curl up and watch a movie because I don't get a lot of downtime.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
Yes.
that. Give me the fast version.
Yeah.
Just tell me if I
Yes.
read a book, it's like I'll go to the last chapter and try
Yes.
and find it. So
Yeah.
I get it. If you're going on like your dream vacation and you could choose either to travel by plane or by boat, what would you choose?
Oh, I would take every mode of transport I could from, I'm an adventure traveler. So I've climbed Everest Base Camp. I
Yeah.
want to do the Incas. So the
Yeah.
most, yeah, I've traveled on the top of buses in mountain tracks and things. So yeah.
We need a whole new episode just on these travels that you have done.
So yeah, yeah,
Amazing.
but probably the more crazy the transport, the better.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
it's a boat. I don't do boats. I don't do
Oh,
cruises.
okay. Okay, cool. All right. So I'll remember that. Never to
Yeah.
invite you to a boat party. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay. You're going to have the most amazing dinner party, and you're allowed to invite one guest from either the past or the present. Who would it be?
One. I'm gonna invite Pink. I just adore
Oh,
her. I
yeah.
just everything about her. When I grow up, I want to be her, even though she's way younger than me. Um,
Yeah.
Everything about her I love. I love her
Mhm.
down to earth nature. I love her
Yeah.
fitness. I love what she stands for and
Yeah.
empowerment and her
Yeah.
attitude. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was between
And
and
a
it was
true
between her
authentic
and the Dalai
person.
Lama, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. I'm actually going to get my VA to go through all these episodes and we're going to create like a virtual dinner party.
Oh,
So
excellent.
somebody's already said the Dalai Lama.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
so there
Cool.
you go. They're already there. They're
Excellent.
already there. And if you could describe yourself in one word, what would it be?
One word. I'm gonna say, yeah, as I think positive.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. You are such a beacon of light. I love, I really highly recommend everyone to go follow Caroline. She is incredible. She shows up, she's raw, she's vulnerable. And I think for me, that just resonates so much that, stories have a way of changing our own lives, but changing other people's lives. And your story has definitely made an impact on my life. So I'm forever grateful for that.
Thank you, Christine. And ditto, I think you're a powerhouse. And I'm so excited to, be doing more stuff with you and everything
Yes.
like that. Yes.
Yes. So stay tuned because Caroline's going to actually be in one issue of the Corporate Escapist magazine. We're also going to get her to come back onto this podcast and we're actually going to do like a mini masterclass. So we're going to put all of those details for you to follow because I'm super excited to share more of your gifts with our audience as well. Thank you so much for being here today, beautiful.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you to
Thank
everyone who is watching this episode. If you have liked it, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, put all your comments below, and remember to live life to the fullest every single day. Love and light to you all.